And so the hypothesis that we should have seen higher inflation in Alaska, it does not bear out.
Let's talk about like inflation, because that is the number one drawback for a lot of people when it comes to UBIs, misunderstanding how inflation happens. Because a lot of
Mm.
people think that you put money into the economy, prices go up, when really inflation is more a response to supply and demand. People really need to understand inflation.
So again, we need to. It's great to get the proper lessons from what we just did during the pandemic, and the proper lessons that people should take away is that what really caused inflation was that we witnessed a global pandemic which really constrained global supply lines and thus the ability to meet demand. And that spiked inflation. So they spent it on goods. So, like, the demand for goods went up more than usual because the demand for services went greatly down. And so,
Hmm.
therefore, not only do we have global supply issues, but then we had higher demand for goods, which worsened those global supply chain issues. And that's also why we saw inflation all around the world. Like, this wasn't just in the US. And it also, you saw this in countries, regardless of how much, stimulus or whatever that they did. So again, taxes help manage inflation, and we should utilize that appropriately. And then, of course, again, there's other programs. If you cancel some and reduce some, then that also helps manage inflation. But people also don't like realize too that competition is like so important to this as well. Uh,
Hmm.
as an example, in Alaska, Alaska is the only place that has had a UBI. They still do. They started this in 1982. It's a small annual UBI of around $1,000 $2,000 per year. But prior to 1982, the rate of the CPI index in Alaska versus the rest of the U.S. as a measured inflation was higher in Alaska. And then after 1982, when the dividend started, then it was lower. And so the hypothesis that we should have seen higher inflation in Alaska, it does not bear out. It didn't happen.